Today, we expose what's really happening to British tourism in 2026. And it's a story that the official figures, the cheerful government forecasts, and the glossy Staycation Britain headlines are working very hard to hide. Beneath the surface, the UK hospitality and tourism economy is in genuine distress. Businesses are shutting their doors at a rate of 3.4 venues every single day. 1 in 5 hospitality businesses now fears closure within the next 12 months. British spending on the Great Seaside Staycation has collapsed by 28% since 2022. And the inbound tourism economy that was supposed to save the industry has, by the government's own admission, tipped into decline, with international tourists spending 5 million fewer nights in the UK between 2023 and 2024. Then came the knockout blow. On February 28, 2026, the Iran war began. And Visit Britain, the government's own tourism body, has now confirmed that since February, flight bookings have been tracking down year on year, with a sharp decline among travellers from the Middle East and a decline in bookings from India. Visit Britain has openly admitted its mid-year forecast will see a downgrade. The optimistic projections issued in January are already obsolete. The truth is this: British tourism is being squeezed from every direction at once. Costs are exploding for the businesses that serve tourists. Domestic holidaymakers are cutting back hard. International visitors are being scared off by conflict and frightened by prices. And a string of travel companies has already gone under in the first months of 2026, cancelling holidays for thousands of people. The picture the industry presents, record visitor numbers, booming staycations, is a mirage built on inflated prices, masking falling real activity. We've spent days digging through Visit Britain forecasts, House of Commons library reports, NIQ hospitality market data, New Economics Foundation analysis, and insolvency records to bring you the real picture of what's happening to UK tourism in 2026. It's not the rosy story the government is selling. But before we get into it, if you work in hospitality, if you run a B&B or a hotel, if you've noticed your local seaside town hollowing out, hit that subscribe button right now. We're British Front Media, and the tourism establishment has every reason to keep the bad news buried under cheerful press releases. We have you. Every subscriber, every share, every comment forces the truth higher up the algorithm. So, subscribe, drop a comment with your town. Let's expose what's really happening. The cost catastrophe. Why hotels are bleeding. Let's start with the supply side, because this is where the bankruptcies are coming from. On April 1st, 2026, a wave of new tax and employment cost rises hit the entire hospitality sector. As Travel and Tour World reported, rising energy bills, escalating wages, and soaring business rates are pushing many establishments to the brink of insolvency, with 1 in 5 hospitality businesses fearing closure within 12 months. The increase in employer national insurance contributions, the rise in the national living wage, and the ending of business rates relief have landed simultaneously on an industry with razor-thin margins. For a small independent hotel running at 60 to 70% occupancy, those combined cost increases can be the difference between profit and administration. The closure rate, 3.4 venues a day. The data on closures is stark. NIQ's Hospitality Market Monitor confirms a net closure of 3.4 licensed venues a day, marking the second consecutive quarter-on-quarter decline in licensed premises. The research found that none of hospitality's main channels was able to record growth in the first quarter of 2026, with casual dining hit hardest, falling 0.9% in 3 months. And here's the warning that should worry every hotel owner. NIQ explicitly noted that ongoing conflicts in the Middle East are likely to cause a further increase to prices in energy-reliant areas, meaning the cost crisis is about to get worse, not better. The honest nuance, and why it matters. Now, I'm going to be straight with you, because that's what British Front Media does. The hotel segment specifically has actually held up better than the rest of hospitality. NIQ's data shows the licensed hotel segment is only 4.7% smaller than its pre-COVID March 2020 benchmark, compared to a 14.3% drop across all hospitality outlets. So when you hear thousands of hotels going bankrupt, understand the reality. It's the independent, the marginal, the undercapitalized, and the regionally exposed hotels that are failing, while the professionalized chains with dynamic pricing and deep pockets survive. This is not a uniform collapse. It is a brutal culling of the weakest operators, and it is concentrated in exactly the seaside and regional towns that can least afford to lose them. The staycation myth. Here's where the official narrative falls apart completely. You've been told that British tourism is booming because of staycations, that with over half of Brits choosing UK holidays, domestic demand is robust. But the New Economics Foundation's analysis of the government's own Great Britain Tourism Survey reveals the truth. British spending on seaside staycations has dropped by 28% since 2022. Read that again. The staycation economy that was supposed to replace the lost international visitors has shrunk by more than a quarter in real terms. The reason the headline, "Staycation market value still looks healthy," is pure price inflation. The average UK staycation now costs around £312 per trip, and rising prices inflate the apparent value of the market even as the actual number of trips and the real spending fall. It's the same trick we exposed in the butter and soap industries. Charge more, deliver less, and let the inflated price tag disguise the shrinkage. The inbound tourism decline, and the international visitor story is just as bleak underneath the spin. The government wants to talk about an ambition to welcome 50 million international visitors a year by 2030. But the House of Commons Library has confirmed the inbound tourism economy may have tipped into decline, with international tourists spending 5 million fewer nights in the UK between 2023 and 2024. Visit Britain's own forecast admits that in real terms, adjusted for inflation, 2025 spending was only 91% of 2019 levels, meaning that despite all the talk of recovery, foreign tourists are spending 9% less in real money than they did before Brexit and COVID. As travel journalist Simon Calder reported, the inbound tourism slump triggered by Brexit is continuing, with tourism prices in the UK rising sharply and at a faster rate than overall inflation. The UK has priced itself out of the global tourism market. The Iran war hammer blow, then came February 28, 2026. The Iran war has detonated the one bright spot the industry was counting on. Visit Britain's January forecast of 45.5 million inbound visits and £35.7 billion in spending was issued before the conflict, and explicitly does not account for its impact. Since the war began, flight bookings have been tracking down year on year, with the sharpest decline among Middle Eastern travellers, a catastrophe given that the UK captures almost a third of all trips to Western Europe from the high-spending Qatar, Saudi Arabia and UAE markets. Those Gulf visitors are among the highest-spending tourists in the world, and they are exactly the ones now cancelling. Add surging jet fuel prices and broad inflationary pressure crushing disposable incomes, and Visit Britain has confirmed its mid-year forecast will be downgraded. The travel company collapses, and the bankruptcies are no longer theoretical. The first months of 2026 have seen a string of UK travel firms go under. Goldcrest Holidays, a West Yorkshire coach tour operator that had run for 30 years, ceased trading in January 2026, citing rising costs and entering voluntary liquidation in March. Regan Central Limited, a London atoll licensed agency, was forced into liquidation in January after losing its atoll license, cancelling all holidays without refunds. Simply Florida Travel, a Glasgow firm, ceased operations without warning in early April 2026, instantly cancelling all bookings, and the Icelandic low-cost carrier Play Airlines collapsed in September 2025, costing around 400 jobs. Each collapse ripples outward. As Travel and Tour World noted, hotels and restaurants in tourist destinations experience a drop in business from travellers unable to take their cancelled holidays. Why the coastal towns are hit hardest? The cruelest irony is where this damage lands. Visit Britain's research shows that the hospitality sector in regions outside London is heavily dependent on domestic, rather than international, tourism for revenue, with 84% of domestic overnight tourism spending happening outside London. So when domestic staycation spending collapses by 28%, it's the seaside towns, Blackpool, Scarborough, Skegness, Bournemouth, Margate, Tenby, that bleed first and worst. These towns built their entire economies on the British family seaside holiday, and that market has shrunk by more than a quarter while their costs have exploded. The hotels going bankrupt aren't in central London. They're in the coastal communities that have nothing else to fall back on. Why this is structural, not temporary. The forces crushing UK tourism are not going to reverse quickly. Brexit permanently removed more than 200 million EU citizens' ability to travel to the UK on identity cards. The cost base for hospitality businesses, energy, wages, business rates, food inflation, is structurally higher and rising. UK tourism prices have risen faster than general inflation, pricing out both domestic and international visitors. The Iran war has frightened off the high-spending Gulf market and pushed up fuel costs. And the cost of living squeeze means British families simply have less discretionary income for holidays. Every one of these is a long-term pressure, not a passing storm. What this means for you. 3 things to take away from this. First, if you run a hospitality or tourism business, the survivors of 2026 will be the ones who professionalize. The data shows that digital booking, dynamic pricing, smart property management, and AI-driven personalization are helping professionalized operators outperform the market. The independents going under are largely those still operating on 2010s margins and methods. Adapt or close. Second, if you're a traveller booking a UK holiday or any package, protect yourself. The wave of travel company collapses means you must check for ATOL protection on flight-inclusive packages and consider insolvency cover. When a travel firm collapses, unprotected bookings are simply lost. Book with financially secure operators and pay by credit card, where possible, for Section 75 protection. Third, if you live in a seaside or tourism-dependent town, understand that the economic foundation of your community is under genuine threat. The 28% collapse in staycation spending is hitting local employment, local businesses, and local property values. This is a story that connects directly to the housing crisis we've covered in previous videos. When a coastal town's tourism economy fails, its property market follows. The brutal truth nobody in government will say out loud is this: UK tourism isn't booming. The cheerful visitor number headlines disguise a real terms decline in spending, a 28% collapse in domestic staycations, an inbound economy that's tipped into decline, and a hospitality sector closing nearly 4 venues a day. The Iran war has turned a slow squeeze into an acute crisis, and the hotels going bankrupt in 2026 are the canaries in the coal mine for an entire visitor economy that has been quietly hollowed out while the official statistics look the other way. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening to British tourism, hit that subscribe button one more time. Drop a comment telling us your town and what your local tourism economy looks like on the ground. And subscribe to British Front Media because we're doing this every single week. New investigation, new expose, new truth the establishment doesn't want you to hear.